Blink. Give me a sec. We'll start another one. Don't blink. It's your boy Ink. Welcome to the Culture Show. We're doing having a wonderful day on this 14 April 25. It's early morning. I'm not gonna be up for a long time. I just want to be up for when we film the videos, right? So then we're going to sleep. So without further ado, let's go. Then we'll be doing a little bit of magic. So I want to see corn. So what I'll do, I'll do this. There you go. Part 3 and final part. Good. 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 Okay, perfect. Okay, so now, don't blink. Oops. My apologies. Don't blink, it's your boy Ink, and welcome to my Culture Show. Today we're having a wonderful day on this 14th April 25. Today is Monday. Today is checking my weight, checking the weight in. And it's super early in the morning, 7:30 to be exact. But I got called for a little job with Arj, so I gotta wake up early, right? We went to sleep at 2:30, and yeah. So if you're enjoying this, we have to wait until 10 o'clock to leave. But I want to wake up that way I could do a little bit of video that way I could upload. Oh my god. So there we are. It's gonna be a beautiful day. It's gonna be a really, really, really wonderful day. So super stoked about that. And that's pretty much it. So I want Sean to come in on here, show you the sun, wish you a great day, tell you that I love you. And I know these videos aren't the most purposeful. But again, lately we've been focusing too much on purpose. Oh, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? What if you were doing this because that was the right thing to do? But then, would it be nice? I think it would. Anyway, enough with the video. Love you guys. Take it easy. Peace. Don't blink. It's your boy Ink. Welcome to a movie review. We haven't done one in a while, and the movie that we're reviewing is actually a really, 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 really good movie. So we're reviewing Edge of Tomorrow. And it's early morning because it's how we're here. We're also filming nature, which is gorgeous. We're having some coffee because it's still very early in the morning. Which is the sunrise. Edge of Tomorrow movie with Tom Cruise, right? Edge of Tomorrow is this amazing story. So when I was at work, right, getting up and listening to music at work, and it's kind of funny because the very first thing that I did at work was listen to music, right? And then I listened to music for a year and a half, 2 years. And then we started listening to podcasts, and then we listened to podcasts for a year. And then for the rest of the 8 years, I wanted to do some audiobook. But some of the audiobook was a lot of light novels, a lot of mangas, because again, you can find them for free on YouTube, right? And then I found one of them, and I forgot the name. But it was really good. It was about a guy that would revive, and it was this person called the Formidable Bitch, and she was the strongest warrior in the class against in a common enemy, right? So I'm listening to this, and it's 5 hours, and it's great. And then for some reason, I don't remember why, I can't find the file anymore, right? Forget about this movie. So 3 years ago, right, we watched this movie again, but at this time we're trying to make content. I'm not really reviewing stuff, right? I don't really think about it. And then I watched it last week because it's a great movie for the third time, right? And because I'm in a position where I'm focusing to analyze and to recap it, I realize how similar the story is. This was all based on All I Need Is Kill, and it's a great story. A lot of people can say, oh well, it's Tom Cruise, you know what I feel about Tom Cruise. Okay, cool, I understand. I understand that's somebody's personal belief. Oh, am I recording? If I am, okay, cool. I understand that somebody's personal belief, even though they're not religious, can be offensive to you guys, right? I don't care what you think about, what you believe in. As long as you believe in something, right? Right? You gotta believe in something. You gotta believe in something greater than yourself. And if the best thing that you believe in, there's no hope to climb. There's no hope to achieve more. There's no hope for improvement, right? That being said, the movie. What is the movie technically? Technically, the movie is there's a guy who kills a phenomenal being, and that phenomenal being ends up being super important. So why is the phenomenal being so important? Is because it gives them time-traveling powers, right? So every single day he dies, right? Gets to revive, gets to revive, gets to revive, gets to revive. And it's a classic Groundhog Day. So he gets to revive, and then he fixes his mistakes. He fixes what he has done wrong. He fixes A, B, and C until he realizes that no matter what, he won't be able to fix everything, right? So then he starts asking for help. And then there's another problem. They have to fight this Omega. So what is really cool here is the system of Oh, frog. The phone is too hot. The phone is too hot. So we're wasting precious. We love these. Because right now we were editing, we were filming, and we were also doing, well, what are we doing? We're doing the most. Editing, filming, and recording, right? So now we get a position where I'm only filming and recording, and hopefully this is going to make the phone cold enough for me to continue. Anyway, that's not the issue. That's not the subject. The subject is once again Enter Tomorrow with Link, right? One of my favorite games. If you look at my tattoos, I got this one, Majora's Mask, and I got this one. Now, I know I'm fat. However, right? We're on the way to lose weight, so if you don't believe in this. So in the game, it's a nice thing because those two are directly parallel. You got the era of Link, and Link is the hero, versus the era of, I don't even know the main character fucking name. I think it's Pepperell Cage, some shit like that, right? And even a hero. Well, Link, as a hero, he's trying to save everybody, right? He's trying to save everybody, and he's trying to save. And then the game is about maturing and overcoming obstacle. And the biggest obstacle that he has is understanding that no matter what he does, he will not be able to save everybody, right? So he's gonna save them in a different timeline, and you basically get the narrative, but you're always coming back. You always have 3 days, right? And at the end is, well, I wasn't able to save everyone, and I saved Termina, save the world. So it gives a shit, right? That was the Enter Tomorrow is, right? It feels, what I'm trying to say, I think the idea I'm trying to transpire to you guys is that it feels a bit underwhelming. You see, you take a character and make him a hero, right? And you take a character and you say, you know what? You don't have a choice. You're gonna be the hero, right? And the character kind of understand that it was inside him the whole time, right? He was always a hero, right? So the hero journey was the journey of destiny. He was supposed to be like that, right? But in our case, it does feel like the only reason that what this guy is doing is because there's no other hope, right? So there's even this part, and the reason why I'm insisting so much on the non-hero, there's a moment, right? And he has this character, which is Emily Blunt, which is a female bitch, right? And she gets hurt, right? And we're looking for keys for a chapter, right? And they're looking for keys, and you know exactly what the keys are, and he hides them, right? And then the reason they give is like, yo, you never make it out. You never make it out alive. So your whole plan was to save the world. Then when you have a chance to save the girl, which there's no romantic interest in, they're not together, right? You don't do it. So what was the point? What was the point? So, and again, this is shitty. They're also quite realistic, right? So you're getting those same days, and you're getting further and further and further, and then you really know those people, right? Now the question that I wanted to ask, and I think it's an important question, is, did he give up? Did he give up? I think there's a lack of information. That's what makes it amazing. Did he give up? Like, I'm gonna live the best day ever. I'm only going to live one day, I'm going to make it the best day ever. First, I'm going to save the world, right? And then one of the interesting plot points is he gets injured and they're transfusing blood in him. Because they're transfusing blood in him, he cannot revive. I know it's really smart. Anyway, love you guys, take it easy. Peace. The link is Sivo Inc. Welcome to the show. Feeling also having a wonderful day on this 14th April 2025. Today is Monday, today's my weigh-in. I'm excited. Before that, we're doing some videos. The video of the day is The Irishman. So a movie with Robert De Niro. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed that movie. The Irishman to me was really, really good. There's a lot of flaws in the movie, but there's a lot of like pros, and I gotta say, Robert delivered. Oof. I was a huge fan of Robert De Niro. I was a huge fan of him. So we're talking about movie like Taxi Driver, talking about movie like Fighting Bull, talking about movie like Casino, talking about movies like The Goodfellas, talking about movies, a lot of movies, right? Talking about movie like Eat. But then he made movie like, well, the fuckers are good, but he made movie like Dirty Redman, where he said the N-word. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? You know? And it's kind of nuts because this movie, The Irishman, was kind of like a back to the roots, right? So the movie is a gangster movie, right? And we saw it. Now the first thing I'm gonna say about The Irishman, dude, it's 3 hours and a half, right? And it's long. But then when you think about the best gangster movie, right? We're talking about The Goodfellas, or The Goodfellas. Think about the Godfather. The Godfather is 3 hours each, right? There's 3 movies of 3 hours each, kind of like a Lord of the Rings of the world of gangsters. So the fact that it's long, it's good. Now, technically speaking, the life of the people changed. So for example, when a movie like that came, like the Godfather, people had a lot more time, right? They were going to the movie, and it was an afternoon, right? We're gonna go eat at the restaurant, we're gonna go to see the movie, and then we'll just chill, right? So watching a movie that's 3 hours and a half was worth it. But now, the busy lifestyle and social media, blah, 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 we don't have time. So the movie in itself feels a bit long at times. It feels a bit long. It feels a bit long because the movie is long. It doesn't feel a bit long because there's not narrative, right? But what is really cool about the movie is talking about a guy who is retired, right? So he's talking about his story. It's like a biography, right? Now, what is really cool in there is there's a lot of terms for historic, right? So the coronation of John F. Kennedy, the coronation of Nixon, Jimmy Hoffa, There's a lot of historic fact for gangster, right? Now, the reality is how much of them are true, how much of them are not true. I can tell you I'm not an expert when it comes to gangster movie or mafia movie. But there's a lot here. There's a lot here that is kind of great. There's this kind of the negative is we're getting the same cast. So you think about all of those fucking gangster movies, right? And you're seeing the same guy, Al Pacino, what's the name of the guy who played in Home Alone, the small guy? Not Danny DeVito. No, I don't know his name. Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci. Yeah. Really good actor too. Robert De Niro. We're talking about a lot of those guys that we saw in the gangster movie. So it does feel like The Irishman is trying to reproduce the magic of the mafia movie. Now, ultimately speaking, what I really enjoy about the mafia movie is La Via Nostra, which is basically the code of honor of the mafia. Right? And the code of honor of the mafia is so good because you're seeing that they're only gangster, but they had pride, they had a code of honor. And again, I think when the mafia was at its highest, when it was at its highest was possibly after the Second War. So most of these mafia guys were people that learned how to live through the army, learned the values through the army, so they kept the values, right? So the Irishman feels like that. There's a lot of like good moments. There's a lot of feel-good moment. For example, they're sitting in a meat truck and then it's like, "Yo, you're talking to me." Or there's this moment where you give shit to Robert De Niro, like you're talking to me like I'm a fucking dumbass, right? And then there's also this. The Irishman, to me, is possibly one of the most completed mafia movie. So I've watched it a couple times already. I think the most beautiful thing is, of course, you get the mafia, right? And it's something that we saw, right? That's something that we really saw. And then of course you get it's very fat, right? And if you know your shit, you know your shit, right? There's a lot of moments in the movie where it's really nice because, for example, right, the main character, which is Robert De Niro, has a daughter, right? And then there's two characters, which is Al Pacino, which is supposed to represent Jimmy Hoffa, and you got Joey Pesci, who plays this gangster, right? And I don't remember the name, I'm sorry. So the daughter of the main character is afraid of Joey Pesci, right? But she sees Johnny Hoffa as this Jimmy Hoffa, sorry. I'm tired, man. I'm tired. She sees Jimmy Hoffa as this hero, right? Then you got this almost. It's a beautiful thing because there are two gangsters, right? One of them is an enforcer, one of them has a tie. They're both crook. They're both criminals, right? So the way she's perceiving them, and I think there's a lot of romanticizing for the mafia. I think a lot of small guy or young guys saw that and they were like, "Yo, I'm really interested in that," right? And then you got a movie like Goodfellas, which in my opinion, was a bit better because the Goodfella was a dude that was from the start. He was into mafia, right? He had a shitty home family, so mafia became his family, right? And the Irishman, I think the flaw of the Irishman is we start out, yes, it's the beginning of the mafia journey, but it's not the beginning of the guy's life, right? The guy has lived a couple of life. There's also a problem with time. So you're going to see this guy from, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 to late 70s, right? And although the movie is 3 hours, it feels like we're missing stuff because they're not showing his whole life. They wouldn't show his whole life, right? The movie itself is good. Of course, it's a feel-good movie. So it's a movie, how can I say that? Complex. I think it's a movie that if you enjoy, okay. It's a movie that follows the footsteps of other gangster movie, of other mafias movie. I think if you like mafias movie, you have to like Irishman. However, my problem with Irishman is if it was my first mafia movie, I don't know if I would like them. I don't know if I would like that. I don't know. And if I was to recommend a first movie, I would go with Goodfellas. I would go with Goodfellas. I would go with Casino, right? And I would go with Irishman. And there's also this kind of like it's a shame. I think the movie has an even bigger flaw. So when you see the character of Robert De Niro, right? He's the Irishman, right? And then in Goodfellas, there's the same thing that happened, right? Oh, I can't get made because I'm Irish. I'm not, can I get made? And I cannot be one of the top guys because I'm not Italian, right? And I have to be Italian. So it's always the same character, the same Irishman. And you're telling the story, yes, much more details. But we heard this story before. Not once, not twice, but multiple times, right? So it does really feel, and it would be good if it wasn't other casts. Because you're using people like Al Pacino and you're using people like Joey Pesci, and those guys are amazing actors for sure. But you're using the same fucking cast, and because you're using the same fucking cast, you're in a position of I've already saw this. So although there's little moments of the movie, there's very little moments of the movie where like, well, these feel like deja vu, right? And it's okay. It doesn't matter if you feel like deja vu. It's all up here that matters, right? However, when you have 3 hours and a half movie, those little moments of deja vu, right, adds up. And at the end of the movie, you're in a position where I saw a new movie, but I feel like I saw it, right? And now that's the problem with historical events. So when you make a movie with a historical event, what you're gonna do is you can't change history, right? So you're gonna be talking about a certain event, right? For example, but the way they did it is actually really nice. So for example, like they're taking John F. Kennedy and they're saying, oh, he was elected through mafia money, right? And then this is something that we saw in other movies. Those are rumors. I don't know if it's true, but then it's being spoke of. But then in this case, they're taking a confessional from Robert De Niro when he's a lot older, and he does like a little comments, like for example, and that's like I love the movie, right? There's little comments of, and that is actually quite nice. I think this is like one of the strongest parts of the movie. He has a comment like he put in behind bars. He went after the guy who got in power, and then he's like, and then he takes a break, And it's like, what's up with that, right? And this is brilliant because you cannot change the history. You can never change history. However, you can change how people perceive history, right? You cannot change how I'm teaching. The math will be math, French will be French, English will be English. Science is science, right? You got textbook. What matters is what changes the teacher, and the teacher is the important part. So really, really good. Good movie. Would I recommend it? I don't know. Great movie, but very niche. Yeah. Okay, so did you get deja vu? Et face à beau dehors, pourquoi je passe pas aujourd'hui? Allô? Don't blink, you blink. Sorry about that. The phone keeps on closing because it's so hot. Okay, we're back. Don't Link, it's your boy Ink. Welcome to the commentary show. Here's doing also having a wonderful day on this 14th April 2025. There's a beautiful sunshine behind me. Today we're talking about mentors. So lately we've been getting a lot of people saying, hey, you're motivational, you inspire me, hey, really fuck with the content. Thank you so much for everything. And although there's a lot of people that are really helping me out nowadays for the content and behind the scenes, I got a lot of people that are in my circle and I'm extremely happy and I'm extremely grateful for what's going on. But there is some trust I have to give. And you know, I think about people saying that and I feel like a mentor, right? And then I think about the mentor that I had. And the mentor that I had were amazing people. And I wanted to give this video to them as a very simple shout out, right? So we're gonna be starting at a very, very, very young age. Now, these mentors aren't gonna be authoritative figure, right? They're not gonna be authoritative figure. So there's teacher in there, right? Which I'm super grateful that I had a good teacher. The reason why we're not adding those teacher up is because they got into the business for helping, right? So those mentors what really meant a lot to me, right? Were because they didn't have to do what they did. They didn't have to do what they did, right? And those mentors were super important to me because, you know, even the teacher, like, wow, you believe in me. I didn't believe in myself, so it was super important. So we're not talking about the teacher, we're talking about celebrities because celebrities is super easy, right? Aziz, Rich Piana, Chester Bennington, super easy. And you guys know, and the thing with celebrities is they might be your role model too for a completely different reason, right? So then it becomes more of an opinion or a different opinion or, again, a clashing ideal versus giving homage to the person, right? And lastly, when I talk about teacher, I'm also talking about bosses. Because I had some great bosses, I had some horrible bosses, but some great bosses. Now, the reason for that is because, I don't know. I just feel like, once again, they're in the business. So for me, you're in the business to help children. You're a teacher. You're in the business of leadership. You have leadership. The boss that I have, were they great people, amazing people? Absolutely. Was it more so leadership than just genuine human kindness? I don't know. And that is a little bit of an issue. It's a little bit of an issue because you're in a position of, well, of course you want to help, but that's not their job, but their version. It's part of their nature versus something that's just kind. So the first one I'm gonna have to go with Sammy. And I think this is something beautiful and unsung hero. Those people will always be unsung heroes. So I was a kid. Sammy was my first mentor was really important to me because Sammy, and again, those people are gonna be they can't even be friends because then those people, if they're your friends, it's funny. Those people, if they're your friends, they have this, and I think for the teacher and the students, the bosses too, they had an interest in you because you were their students or you were part of their class or you were part of their team, right? So I feel like this, it shouldn't equate, it shouldn't work, right? So Sammy, we had a very similar background, and very similar humor, and Sammy was the son of an Egyptian mom. You know how it is. My mom's also Egyptian, and it was very, very mama bear. So he would take me aside, and it's funny because I was 18 years old. I was still going to. I was 18 years old and still going to the day camp, right? And he would treat me as an adult, and he was the only one that treated me as an adult. Like for example, I fucking love Sammy, but the reality is he was a bad influence in the best way possible. Sammy was the very first figure of a big brother that I ever had, and I feel like a lot of the mentors were big brothers. So it's nuts because with Sammy, when you swear, there was this definition that you have to do 10 push-up, and it would tell people I don't want to do push-ups, I'm not gonna swear. With Sammy, it's like how much can you do? He would push me to swear if I do more because I was overweight. So it was a way of saying, hey, exercise fast. Also, he would talk about Colt. He would talk about how he gets girl. Like he would talk about how it didn't really matter when it was a married woman, or it didn't matter when it was porn. He would talk about porn a lot, right? And again, you would think that this is weird for a camp counselor to talk about this with a camp kid, if you will, that was 18, right? And he treated me like his younger brother. And the funny thing is, he would really talk about like a lot of stuff. Like for example, right? So this is a story that I like to say, even though this is possibly not the brightest moments in my lifetime. But I was at a time with my life where camp was going to be boring no matter what. I was 18 at the camp and I was doing activity that was meant for 13, 14 years old. So I started manipulating them. And I was like, and back then the movie Minions was really popular. So I was like, he wants to be my minion. And then, me. And like, okay, well, get me this pack of cards, or get me a comic, or get me some water. And I would make them my little, But then again, there was no ill intent. It was just like, I'm bored, let me have fun my own way. And Sammy saw that, and he was like, yo, that's actually pretty funny, right? And it was also this case. And Sammy really treated me differently. And again, not the best camp counselor move, but still. So what he would do is Sammy was kind of like a rule breaker, right? Kind of like a rule breaker. He would say, people were asking me for his Facebook. He said, the only one gonna get my Facebook here is Stefan because he's 18, right? Reality is like, we're close. But then Sammy, and so what I like about Sammy is, again, sort of a bad influence. But it was more so like, this is real life. I'm not trying to be a bad influence. I'm not trying to tell you to do shit. See, I would make jokes and I would push the kids to do things that were funny because I was bored, right? Of course, nobody was injured. I didn't do anything that was crazy, but it was funny. We had this game of it. Oh my god, this is bad. Now that I look back at it, it was annoying. But if you had a big brother, you know exactly what it feels like. So if we had this game, the most popular game there was Jenga. So I had this kid. This is so bad. This is so bad. I had this kid sit. They were playing Jenga on the table, and I had this kid sit at the table. They were playing Jenga, and when it fell, I would make him scream Jenga. or things like, I told the kid, because he was walking very like, how can I say that? He was walking very like reserved, right? So I made him believe that cool kid were walking like penguins. So he started walking like a penguin, and this is bad. But then, in the same time, it was his bigger brother feeling to it because people started making fun of him for walking like a penguin. So his whole walk changed, and it was like the original, so he did improve at the end, right? And Sammy also was doing that. So Sammy, also like a rule breaker. He would talk, and he would swear a lot. So for example, he was French. He was speaking French, I was speaking French. And, we were saying stuff in French, nobody understood. But Sammy also did some pretty messed up stuff. For example, he made one of the other camp counselors fall in love with him, and he fucked her, and then he left her, which is okay. But then he did it in the middle of summer. So then there's this cold atmosphere the whole summer, And because me and him were so close, I stood by his side because I'm loyal. Then I felt bad for the girl because I knew that what he did was wrong, But Sammy was all about. This world is fucked up, One of his favorite movies was American Psycho. Remember, this other movie was It from Stephen King, right? So the thing I would do, he was one of my heroes because I fucking love the guy. Now that I look back at him, there's a lot of things that he did that was not cool. For example, we had a sleepover as I think it was a white night where you don't sleep, right? And he put a movie that was It. And there were kids that was 12, 13 years old. That was way too scary for kids, right? I was like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? And in this case, in a lot of cases, I was being treated in a better way. I was treated in a much better way than other kids. So it wasn't as, I wouldn't complain as much, but it still wasn't cool. It's still a thing that you shouldn't do. That was a bit of a, I wouldn't say a problem, but it was just like, dude, what are you doing? However, we stopped talking. And then I remade another Facebook. I was possibly 21 years old, and I had him back, and he was married. And he was like, yeah, I'm married now. And the way he was acting was very different. He was very matured. So I feel like he was having his bachelor years. I think he was having a last bit of fun before he got serious, and I think that was always the plan. It was good. The second mentor that I had was Simon Twim Garceau. This guy was fucking incredible. Well, another guy that took me on his wing. So Sammy, and I know what you're saying, Sammy was a position of authority, so I was talking about him. Well, Sammy didn't care about the job. He didn't care about the job. He was always making fun. He was always joking. So for example, when a kid was doing something bad, he would give him shit, right? Or yeah, it was more so that he was kind of the cooler older brother versus the bully. So for example, somebody did something bad. Oh, the girl, which was the girl that he kind of played. She was the one that gives, she was the one to give shit, right? To give punishment. And him, he was always there for if there's a emergency. So for example, emergency, oh, there's a kid missing, then find her, right? But he wasn't constantly, he wasn't a clown counselor, per se. He was just a caretaker, you know? And at some point, like, I really feel bad for the girl. Now that I'm older, I really feel bad for the girl, right? But again, I understand where he came from. And it's funny how this mentor, and I should also say that what he taught me, just to have fun. Just to have fun. I was in a camp, right, where I was watching, and I think it was kind of like not a troubled teenager, but kind of like a fuck you, you know? I was listening to Other Than Dead. They were swearing a lot. They were saying, with songs like Undead, everywhere I go, bitches always know that Charlie Sheen has got a weenie daddy loves the show. And I was singing that at the camp, right? And I would do that, and the funniest thing is, the funny thing is, I was kind of defiant. I think I was looking for the approval. I'd go to camp, right? And I would hold my hands like that, right? And I would sing, I think it was number 5. Let's pretend like, because I don't remember number 5, let's pretend like it's, everywhere I go. So, everywhere I go, bitches, always know that Charlie Sheen's got a weenie daddy loves the show. Bitch, everywhere I go, bitches always know that Charlie Sheen's got a weenie daddy loves the show. Grab beer, shave beer, put on some scene gear, gotta get drunk for my mom, wake up, break up with my girlfriends, I can dang sluts. So I would count down, I was kind of defiant. So he really taught me that it didn't really matter the rules, it didn't matter the present sense of, okay, well, there's this in place, this system in place. I think it was about going against the system, right? In a more meaningful way than just saying fuck the system. See, Sammy taught me to be kind of an anarchist, but not necessarily to hurt others. There's never a time where you hurt somebody. There's never a time where, well, you hurt your feelings, but they were both adults, right? It wasn't a position of power. It was just something mutual. So as the going against the system and always having fun, right? Always having fun. It's nuts because I remember her and she was never laughing. She was kind of super serious. And him, he was just chill, right? So he was a cool one. But still. So the next one on this is Simon. Simon, I told you guys about Simon before. Simon was just a cool dude. Simon, I met him, I was working at IG. And Simon was really, really a gem. Simon was a guy who really took the time to talk to people, right? And that was leadership. Simon was what had leadership. So he was talking to me when we were doing I was at a bakery. And we really had a conversation, right? And I don't know why. I think he liked me. None of that, you know. But he was like, yo, give me your number. And at that time, I'm like, okay, weird, but okay. I gave my number. And I remember one of the first things they sent me. It's like, yo, I'm coming with a girl. Can you help me out? And I was like, okay, no problem. He said, put me some cookie aside. One of the very first thing we did together was this girl. And I was like, here you go, monsieur. I said his real name. Thank you so much for being with us, to keep on showing with us, as you asked, as you reserved. And then you look like a fucking G. Which was really fun. Looked like a fucking G. And it was nuts because Simon was also a nice guy, a bit weird. Because he would text me like, hey, you did some fucking good, so fucking good. Like, hey, we're going out with a friend, you wanna come? Bring $20, right? And I brought exactly $20. And Simon, we went out and it cost like 120 or 150, I don't remember. Because we're a group. And people were like, oh, why did he bring $20? And Simon was like, he brought $20 because I told him to bring $20. And it was always testing loyalty or testing obedience, right? But then Simon really helped me out. So when I had this job, he helped me find another job. When I lost the IGA job, he helped me out. He found me a job. He really taught me a lot. So we would watch a movie. We watched together. We watched Citizen Kane. We watched. It's nuts because with Simon, it was like what Sammy taught me about being an artist. Simon was teaching me how to be more professional, how to go into the society. And with Simon, the reason why he did that, Sammy was only for fun. Simon was a beautiful reason. He was very fortunate. He had a rich family, right? And he wanted to give back. He didn't believe in giving back money-wise, but believe in giving back experience-wise. See, he would teach me stuff like Theorem Pythagoras, which is basically the basic need, the higher needs, the utmost needs that you get that are luxury, right? That's basically the pyramid. He would teach me stuff like that, and he would get me a job. And then, so with Sammy, we've lost touch because of that. Because we weren't talking. With Simon, it was a really bad case. So he had this restaurant, and they would hire me, right? But the restaurant wasn't doing so well. So they would only hire me like a couple days a week. And then what ended up happening is there was a gelato shop next to him. And the gelato shop, it was bad. It was really bad. It was a really bad experience. The guy was nice. I had a lot of coworkers that were really nice. However, the guy was bad because what ended up happening was he had drug abuse issues. So he came in and he borrowed money from him, right? He borrowed money from me. And then, I don't know how he knew, but Simon texted me. And he was like, dude, does he owe you money? Because he owe us money. And I lied. Because I couldn't buy the end that was feeding me. And I think I was still very naive. I still had believed that he was going to bring me back the money. See, to me, you owe money to someone only if you don't plan to pay them back. if you're gonna pay them back, doesn't matter if it takes a month or a week. It's still, you know, you don't owe me shit. You don't owe me shit. If I know that you're not gonna pay or that you're gonna avoid me, that's gonna be a problem, right? That is a big problem. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. So that was a bit small, and then after that, the relationship wasn't the same. Then the next one was Francis. Francis is a very special case. Francis, you guys heard it about him. Shuklub, he was my boss. So again, the rule of boss applies. But Francis was a very different guy. Francis was a dude that had a lot of leadership. He had a military background, and he was running a tight ship. I'm still recording. Nice. He was running a tight ship, but it was in a way that for fuck's sakes. Oh, it's gonna be disgusting to do. Because then I have like 7 parts of nature corn. I'm all gonna put them together, so it doesn't really matter, but still. So with Francis, he would come and he would choose his employees. So for example, he had a manager. He was a manager, and as much as the winter would go, he would kick people out. And he kept me for some reason. I wasn't the best employees, and he kept me, right? And he kept me, and I got really mad at him because he kept me. But then it was like, I'm keeping you because I like you, because you speak English. I don't speak English. So you're really helpful. You're my right hand man, right? And I don't understand why I didn't understand what he meant, because then when the summer came back, we had a lot of employees. And it was like, yo, these are your guys. And he took a step back, and he wasn't working as much. So I was really mad at him, because I was like, dude, such an asshole. You're such an asshole, you know? Because you're kind of using me, right? You're kind of using me. And he did use me, but it wasn't a good way. So Francis taught me a lot about, like, just... It was weird, because if you look at Sammy, it was about fun. If you look at... Simon, it was professional. Francis was in between, right? It was like how to be professional at work but still have fun. Then the reason why I call him a mentor today is because he did teach me a lot about life. Like for example, right? The sole reason why we were able to pass the 8 years, even though we were bullied, I did like the job that I had. I liked the people. I liked the job. I think it was cool. It was easy. And the reason that we were able to survive was because of Francis. Francis told me to do the much possible with what I had. For example, listening to music or just being able to pass time faster, right? And the reason why I call him a mentor is he wasn't really a boss. He was a guy that stepped up. And just like me, he did to me what he did to him. They kept him around because he had leadership. And then they told him, well, you're in charge. We're not going to pay you more. Francis was there for 4 years. He was taking the same salary as I did. But then when something was wrong, they came to him. Hey, Francis, why is you guys doing that? Why is you guys doing that? So he did to me the same thing they did to him. And it wasn't a fair situation, right? And that's pretty much it. I think that's the reason why I see him as a leader. The mentor. There's a bunch more, but the one I'm thinking about are either friends or authority figures. It doesn't apply. So there you go, those are my mentors. Don't blink, it's your boy, welcome to the Captain Show. Living hopes are having a wonderful day. Oops. What happened here? I think I injured myself. On this 14th April 2025, we have a sunrise behind us. It is a beautiful day outside. It is a momentous day, as they say, in whatever language you're speaking. Today we're talking about a movie review. We're doing 2 movie reviews. So we're doing It's Raining Hamburger 1 and 2. So without further ado, because we're tired, let's get right into it. So It's Raining Hamburger to me is a really, really solid piece of media, because it's the classic story of a bumpkin from a countryside, from a small town that has bigger ideas and wants to leave the town, right? So the first movie to me was so good, so freaking good. And it's about this guy, right? And the way it's done, it's so nice, because he's not really appreciated, and everybody thinks that it's silly, and he's so silly. And there's also this intent of his father has a sardine shop, right? And then his father's like, no matter what you do, you're gonna be the one to take it. The store asked me, so it doesn't matter what you do, you're gonna work here, right? So it's about a story of a guy defining his destiny, right? And he figured out the machine by complete accident where he's able to make food rain. So then he started driving people, and people asking him, hey, can you make this rain? Can you make this rain? Can you make this rain? So then it's a classical genius that nobody believes in, but then they can use them, so they use them, right? And it's always a scene of, okay, well, guess what? I need something from you, so I like you, right? And then it is absolutely phenomenal, because the couple people that cared about him, which is his father and a reporter, they both get affected negatively. So for example, his father, which has a sardine shop, doesn't sell as much food because of the training hamburger, right? The girl who is supposed to be this genius, she doesn't understand what's going on, so she looks foolish, right? So it's a classic story of the scientist, the mad scientist that achieves something. But it's also, it's paired with the guy who's an underdog and nobody believes in, kind of way to heroism. And I think it's super cool because it's a character that we like. We're rooting for him. It's the perfect picture of an underdog. And you feel bad because it's getting used, but then he finally gets the love that he deserves, right? And it's funny because there's also this character that doesn't really matter. This character who is the celebrity of the town, right? He kind of gets replaced because he's an asshole. He kind of gets replaced by the guy who makes hamburger rain. Once again, it's a system of greed. So then the whole base of the whole story of the first one, again, it's a child movie, but it was still enjoyable. My apologies. So then the whole basic of the story is I'd rather be not known and not loved, but being without getting used, than being used and being loved. And then, of course, he overused the machine, so now he can control it. Then he find a way to fix it, and then he's a hero once more, but people know better than to use him. Right? There's also the case of he's kind of destroying people, so people are becoming more and more obese, and he's the responsible for that. So you see that, and like, holy shit, I did this. The second one is, I didn't really like it, to be honest. So the second one is this super genius goes to a school of super genius, and then you realize that he's once again the underdog because he's surrounded with people that are super smart. And like, okay, well, I'm smart, but I'm not that smart. It's the classic story of a genius that becomes a genius, but then when he's surrounded with genius, he isn't a genius, you know. And then the story is how corrupted geniuses are, and you see, the purpose of the first movie was to realize that I can invent a machine that'll get me everything I want: fame, appreciation, love, money, right? But I don't want to do it because the price is too much to pay. So then the whole purpose of the second movie was he's surrounded with geniuses that are way smarter than him and way more deserving of the good stuff, right? But then it comes at a price, and the price is what? Oh shit. Okay, sorry. And the whole price is what? Is they sold their soul, right? So if there's a way to get richer, and you don't care about what's going on, so he's in a position, and I think that's the purpose of the second movie, he's in a position of where he can prove himself by crossing a line which is morality and ethic. But does he want to cross that line? That's the question of the movie. The second movie was good. Well, that's good because it's like, so you see, he did the same thing as the first movie, which is kind of like the hangover. But then you're repeating stuff, and the payout for the first movie is a lot better than the second movie. So yes, the story of the first movie is good. The payout is great. The story of the second one is good. The payout is less great, right? Because it's a sequel, because it's the same universe, you compare them. The first one is actually way better. And that's pretty much it. Brains Hamburger. Anyway, love you guys. Take it easy. Peace. Dumpling, it's your way. Welcome to the Commentary Show. We're also having a wonderful day on this. Oops, I forgot the subject. Mohammed, merci mon nom. J'apprécie good. Okay, cool. Okay, so what is that? It's it's about the fight this, my mentor edge, wouldn't take perfection, why I so much, fitting society, the Irishman, Amish gaming, cut out people, winning hamburger, junk food, protection of old, protection of near future, when does it change stuff? Okay, that's good. Dumpling, it's your boy, welcome to the Commentary Show. It's doing well, guys are having a wonderful day on this 14th April 2025. I watched, today we're going to talk about Lord of the Ring, of course. I watched the three movies lately, and it's funny because Lord of the Ring was quote unquote, and when I say quote unquote, it was my favorite series of all time, the golden series of all time. And there is this kind of really weird thing with fans where they'll see something for a long time and they'll make fun of it. So for example, the Star Wars fan will make fun of the Star Wars, or the cheesy stuff, they're still loving it. And I was like, what movie can I watch? What movie am I really a fan of that I can make fun of? Because I want to feel that feeling. I want to feel what it was like to do that. You see, for example, right? I'm following a lot of content creators that are for YouTube. For Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm tired. For Yu-Gi-Oh! And they're really pushing the context of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is silly. They're banning cards, so it's really making fun of Yu-Gi-Oh! They're loving it. Or for example, Pokemon, the same thing. So Lord of the Ring, and I was like, how can I make fun of it? I don't want to make fun of this. But then I watched them again just to find something. Because I really want to do a video like that. Because again, I think it's a cool concept. It's funny. For example, I'm going to give you the best example. People that are fan of Naruto, right? And they're saying like, they're making fun of the fact that nobody knew that Naruto was a fan of. Oops, sorry. Did we get it? No, it's still there. Did we pop a pimple? No, sorry. How much batteries left? 35, good. The guy texts. Oh. think I can. Okay. You see how I started struggling? This is what happened when you start doing an ID that's you got inspired by somebody else versus this is your original ID. This is how bad it is. It's bad. But at the same time, I think the concept is good, right? So like about Naruto, people making fun of Naruto because hey, there's only one kid with blonde hairs, with blonde hair, blue eyes. There's only one adult with blonde hair, blue eyes. The Furikage, so it was written in blood that it would be that. But then again, I think it's fun. So I was watching the Lord of the Ring, and there's some movie that I really really enjoy. However, I'll be completely honest. As a more knowledgeable person, because when the first time I was watching them, I was like 14 years old, and I didn't know shit about it. So, for example, I don't even know Morgoth. I didn't know the Hobbit backstory. I didn't know who was really Sauron. I know Setting Lindor. I didn't know a lot of those people, right? For example, Stephen Aryan was a huge part of the lore of Lord of the Rings. So that was, I wouldn't say bad, but it wasn't say good, right? So then, watching the movie once again, it felt so odd. So the first movie, the fact that we spent half the movie talking about how the ring is dangerous and how we can destroy it, and we spent a lot of time building the fellowship of the ring. Just so at the end, it's breaking because there's three clans. They're basically Merry and Pippin. They're basically Legolas, Aragorn, and Gimli. Then there's Frodo and Sam. So like, why did they compete in the first place? If it was this band, right? And it would have been more meaningful if it was like they were getting closer. For example, you lose Boromir, right? And Boromir, yeah, kind of is the bad guy for the whole time. But then you realize what he is because he meets his father, and you realize that he has good intention. What the fuck? And then, so the second movie with the Two Towers. That was a bit more. It's my favorite movie. It is my favorite movie, right? But then, at the same time, it's there's kind of like an odd thing to it. So, for example, in the Two Towers, we're really finding out who is who, like who's the friend, who's the betrayer, who's the traitor, who is helping us. So we find out that Saruman is a traitor. We find out that the orcs are doing rampage. We think that the human are really helpful. And at the end, the ants are more alpha than the human, right? And then we spend most of the second movie getting some help from the Robo Irim, which people from the Rohan, right? Just to realize in the third movie that just to realize in the third movie that we're the best army is the Gondor. We spent a lot of time getting Smeagol, which is the Night Mark of Golden there. You should realize that at the end of the second movie, you still get you still get you still get the what do I call it? Oh fuck, I'm tired guys. I haven't slept and well, we've been up since 2 yesterday. It's 8:42, so 16 hours perfectly. So for example, right, we spent a big time. We're part of the first movie thing. Okay, Gandalf is the way to go. Gandalf is a hero. Gandalf is your biggest attribute, and it's even better when you learn that. And the Hobbits, Gandalf is part of it. The only person that is in both story is Gandalf. Well, Legolas also is. It's different. Because Gandalf is there from A to Z. Legolas isn't, and the Fellowship of the Ring, Gandalf is there from the A to Z. The very first opening scene, I think, has Gandalf. It's been a while. In the second movie, we spend the whole time saying, "Oh my God, Gandalf is dead," just to bring it back. The second movie, we spend the whole time saying, "Oh my God, Aragorn can't be. He doesn't want to be the king, but he's the descendant of the king." Just to realize, okay, well, doesn't matter what he wants, he's still the king, right? So to me, that's funny. To me, that's funny because you're not seriously contradicting itself. And in a perfect sense, it is starting from zero, getting to the ending. So for example, you see Gandalf. Gandalf has to die to become Gandalf the White. So there's a payoff. The Robo Hiram, right? The Robo Hiram, I don't know how to say that, aren't the strongest army. But then again, when they're fighting for Minas Tirith, they end up being helped with the elves, right? It's because the Robo Hiram are fighting such a good battles that the health help. Or in other case of with Smeagol, right? It took Smeagol to become this good person for us to care about him, right? Just for him to turn around. Him turning around and becoming this bad guy once again just goes to show how much the ring corrupted with Frodo, right? So it's a feeling of you used to be a nice person. I said that you're a nice person, but then ring fucked you up, right? And then the third one, the third one is perfection. The third one is perfection. However, the third one, there's nothing to say about it. However, the third one, it's a classic case of I can watch the first movie, no problem. Well, I can watch the first movie and understand everything, no problem. I can watch the second movie because even if I didn't see the first movie, we're introduced to the characters and it's still a funny movie. The third one on itself wasn't the best of the three. However, you have to really see the two others, and the ring is 9 hours, so then that's a lot, right? That's pretty much it. So yes, I've left my father's house. We're a bit late, so I'm gonna go. But I love you guys, and I'll see you guys real soon. So you're done, and you're done. Okay. Okay, good. to get over you. You heard all my alibis. It's you as soon as I close my eyes. It's your boy Ink. Welcome to the Commentary Show. Continuing on to having a wonderful day on this 15 April 25. Today we'll be playing some The Tower as we do on a daily basic. We're gonna be doing some mission. I'm gonna be sleeping actually, so you're not gonna be hearing me talk a lot. And some of you guys just said, "Hell yeah, we're done hearing you talk, dude. You talk so much." So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna be checking out the new event. Yes, today is a new event. So let's go. So this is Easter. Ooh, Easter event. We never had this. We never had this. So this is something else. This is something else. So let's check what we have. We have the cash bonus. Thank you so much. Coin earn. Okay, those two are good. Increase our damage by 5%. Hell yeah. Okay, so nothing crazy good this time, but still, you know, it's not bad. It's not horrible. It's not great. We'll see how it goes. Plus, we're getting more missions. We have 5. There you go. See, I didn't finish the mission, right? So now we have to be doing better than this. We have to be doing way better than this, right? Otherwise, it's not great. The event. Not a big fan of it, right? Not a big fan of it. Not a big fan of the skin. Not a big fan of the background. But hey, they did something for Easter, so that's a plus. That's definitely a plus. You know what I mean? That's all that matters. They try to do something different. They try to do something nice. I don't think they're doing a New Year. They're doing a Christmas event. They don't do a Valentine's Day. They don't do a April Fool's Day. They did an Easter. You know, it's actually pretty cool. I'm gonna be grateful for what they did versus what they could have done. I'm gonna be grateful for what I have versus what I could get. At the end of the day, what I have in front of me is worth more than what I'm gonna get possibly in a year. That's 10 times better. So this is the event. I hope you guys enjoy it on this, once again, 15 April 2025. Sorry about this. We messed it up. Not badly, but still. Good. I'll take you to the candy shop. Boop, boo, doo, boo. Doo, 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 doo. Ouch. I got the 2 hours. Nice. Oh. We messed up. I have to be... give me a sec. We'll be right back. So you got normal? Yeah, you got pretty good. I have to be back awake. Okay. So what we have to do is this. Yes, thank you so much for letting me restart. Good. That is proper. Now, we still have to check if I did on TikTok. Because I don't think I'm going to have enough space. 22, we're good. We're not great, but we're not bad. So that's something positive. This, I already did it. It's being uploaded on the other phone. Okay. 29, right? 29, okay. Now, for the shield. We got 3. Very good. We have another event, which is great. Not cheap, huh? About $68 every 3 weeks. 2 weeks, that's $120. That's $1,400 per year. However, this is the only game that you guys are watching, so we keep on playing it. I still love it. I still like it, right? But it's just that it's expensive. Like, this is a brand new game every 2 weeks, and a brand new game would give me a lot of content. But at the same time, this is almost guaranteed content. You know, you don't have to worry about. Oh well, guess what? People are not gonna watch it. Okay, good. Now you are gonna come here. Abracadabra. This is funny. I found it kind of sad. You're just lying on the best I've ever had. Abracadabra. Good. Perfect. Okay. Now you're not bad. So I'm gonna put you here. These 2 things, so we need to do a tournament. before we go sleep, we're gonna check out the oh, at 4 o'clock. Nice. And we working on the one after the Konami out, unlock message. Wow. Correct? Mm-hmm. First showing a tier 7 lows, nice. I'm just going to max out. People are strong, dude. 210, sell, damn, just made some of mine. Oh my card during the next event. Phenomenal progress, people. Ah, abracadabra. Four down, 4 to go. Oof. People are doing 9.5 hours run on tier 7. How are they doing this? This is insane.